Hello and good morning, MYM Insiders. How's it going today? This is Rich Harshaw. We're here for our Innovation Hour webinar, and we're going to cover a topic that is near and dear to my heart, which is, drum roll please, make sure everything's working on our technology here, innovating the local yokels. This is sort of a David versus Goliath kind of a thing here. We're going to talk about how little companies that are local companies can compete effectively with and even perhaps take down the established giant. Again, the David versus Goliath kind of a situation. Now, this is an Innovation Hour webinar, and I want you to keep that in mind because the ideas that I'm going to present here are not necessarily meant to be emulated exactly the way that I show them here. It's really meant to give you ideas and spark some ideas and imagination in you so that as you go to the marketplace, you can use these as seed capital to find ideas that are relevant and unique and will work in your situation, in your business, okay? So just keep that in mind as we go through this. In other words, you don't have to try to cherry pick ideas exactly from this webinar and instill them into your business. Look for ideas and concepts and keep a pad of paper nearby and just jot down some thoughts and impressions and ideas that you have as we go through this. Not sure exactly how long this webinar is going to take. I have a little video I want to show you that's about 6 minutes long if we have time at the end. If we don't, then we won't watch it. So I won't even tell you what it is because I'll save it for later if we don't have time. So let's go through this, innovating the local yokels. If you're scared of Walmart, big boxes, retail chains, it's time to fight back. And again, this could apply to any kind of situation, not just necessarily retail, although we will have a retail slant for sure. And the company that I'm going to profile here is going to be a donut company, a local donut company, okay? So, prologue, small businesses' success or failure rise on one key element, their ability to develop loyal long-term customers who come back over and over for years. This is really the key. The mistake most of them make is perpetual one-shot selling, and this is a great note to put in your notes if you're taking notes, perpetual one-shot selling, meaning we sell, and then we wait around for somebody to come back and we sell them, and then we wait around for them to come back and then we sell them again. And what I'm suggesting is that we don't want to perpetually wait for people to come back around. We want to find a way to systematically capture these people, entice them to give us their contact information so that we can develop a loyal following, and then we can be proactively in charge of what kind of marketing messages these people are getting on an ongoing basis, okay? So that's sort of the prologue here. We're going to focus on developing the customer list and then working that customer list. Now, the story, the background for this webinar goes back a few years to when I was taking my daughter to a band competition on a Saturday morning, dropped her off, and my son said, hey, can we get donuts? And we were heading over to Krispy Kreme, and as we were turning onto the road that Krispy Kreme is on, we saw a donut shop that was brand new, and it was in a brand new shopping center. I think it was the first or second shop that had opened in this new shopping center. And my son said, well, can we get, you know, these donuts from this shop instead of going down to Krispy Kreme? And I thought for a minute and said, well, you know, I really don't care, so let's give it a try. So we went in there, and, you know, it was the typical stereotypical. Oh, hang on, we got a little background noise here. I can handle that. Okay. Stereotypical donut shop in that it was just, here's how I can explain it. First of all, it was Korean owned. It's not a knock on Korean owned donut shops, it's just that they tend to follow a pattern. The pattern was it had the word donut as their sign, donuts, I think, in white block letters over the building. When you walked in, the walls were painted pale yellow. They had cheap, flimsy kind of tables and chairs. They had a bulletin board, so people could put their business cards, so you could choose your insurance agent while you were eating donuts. They had, now most Korean donut shops have either some kind of Buddhist statue slash worship altar, or they have a picture of Jesus of some sort hanging in about the same place. Now, not all of them do, and I'm not trying to be overly stereotypical, but I'm telling you, I've been in a lot of donut shops, and they all tend to have this. This was a Jesus version, and they had a boom box playing light hits from the 80s, and they had that drink cooler that has the sliding doors. It has a bunch of cans of Coke and Sprite and chocolate milk and various other beverages. And it had one of those pricing boards that had the little letters from like the 70s that you stick in there to spell stuff and put the price. And everything about it just had the look and feel of a dingy, old, crusty donut shop. And the place had only been open for a week. It was really sort of surreal and bizarre. And I thought, this is really kind of interesting slash sad, because like so many businesses, the main emphasis, I'm assuming, and I'm not pretending to know everything about this company, and I'm not saying that this is true in all situations, but just my observation and my feeling and thoughts when I saw this was, you've got this little company, they focus on making donuts, and if you ask them what business are they in, they're going to say, we're in the donut business. And really no thought about the atmosphere, about the branding of the company, the marketing. It was all just sort of, hey, we paid a lot of money to have this location on this main road, and so that's it. And we went in and we bought the donuts. They were about $1 per dozen cheaper than Krispy Kreme. And Krispy Kreme was just about a mile or a mile and a half down the road. And, interestingly, this donut shop really was the only one in the area besides Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme had been there for a couple of years at the time, and it had put all the other donut shops out of business. And so this guy comes in and he's trying to, do his thing. And so I got to thinking, how could this little company better position themselves in the marketplace over the long haul to actually survive and thrive and grow? And who knows, maybe even instead of just trying to take the table crumbs from Krispy Kreme, maybe just try to take them on out. Okay, so that's sort of the backdrop for what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so just make sure my technology is working here. Win with innovation in marketing. Step 1, effective branding. Step 2, gathering customer contact and information. Number 3, working the local area. And I'm going to show you how to do this. Now, this is going to be a way that's appropriate and applicable to a donut shop in a geographic area that's local and close. You might struggle to find ways to do this, what I'm going to show you in your business, but take, again, the concept and the principle and see what you can do with that. Get to that in just a minute. Step 4 is joint ventures. Step 5 is work in the database. And then step 6 is something big. And something big is something that almost nobody would ever do, but you know what? That's not going to prevent us from talking about it. So let's start with step 1, effective branding. So here's what I recommend for the donut shop. Texas Best Donuts. Identity. What makes you different? We want to start there. Talk about the decorations, the look and feel of your store. You don't want to go cheap on your image. That, like I mentioned earlier, the pale yellow walls and the fixtures that were cheap, and the bulletin board with business cards. And I thought, wow, what a stark contrast to Starbucks. And I'm not saying that the donut shop should try to become Starbucks. I'm just saying Starbucks has been wildly successful all over the world with 30 bazillion locations and profits of $20 gazillion a minute. And there's a reason. And the biggest reason, it has a little something to do with the coffee and all of that, but a lot of it has to do with the atmosphere. And people go there not just because it's a coffee place. It's because it's a certain feel, a certain aura about the place. And again, I'm not saying that a donut shop should attempt to copy it. I'm suggesting that any company should pay attention to the aura and the feel and the vibe that they send out of their company. And the Korean donut shop sent out a vibe that said, we really don't freaking give a crap about the aura whatever, there's donuts here. If you want some, come get them. If you don't want them, freaking screw off, is kind of the vibe that was coming from that shop. And probably not the best vibe that you want to be putting off. Think about your image. Think about how people interact with your company. Maybe you don't even have a storefront, but think about the vibe that you're putting off. Your website, how does it look? How does it feel? What do your people look like? You know, I remember this this home improvement company I dealt with in 2008 and 9, and they ended up going bankrupt in the recession, which was awesome because they deserved to go bankrupt. But it's a very large company. In fact, they were the largest four-season sunroom dealer in the country at the time. And one of the things that happened when I was talking to them is I was at their office, we're talking about their marketing, and we're talking about a code of ethics and competency, a contractor standards guide, and one of the issues was worker conduct agreement, and one of the elements of the worker conduct agreement was worker appearance. And there was a pledge that the workers signed that they would be neat in appearance, they would have clean uniforms daily, and you know they would be generally good appearance. And they started laughing. I said, "What's so funny?" And they said, "Oh, well, he's not met Joe yet." And I said, "What do you mean I haven't met Joe yet?" And they go, "Oh, go get Joe." About 2 minutes later, a guy shows up, comes through the doorway, and he says, "What the F do you want?" That's the first thing the guy says out of his mouth. The guy's wearing a stocking cap. He's got a full beard. He's wearing a T-shirt with paint all over it. And he's got red sweatpants on that have probably 20 or 30 holes in it, enough that I can see his freaking underwear. And I said, "This must be Joe." "Yeah, I'm Joe. What the F about it?" I've never met this guy, and he's F-bombed me twice in 10 seconds. Well, they go on to explain that this is their lead installer. And this is just how he always looks, and he ends up leaving. He probably drops 20 or 30 sailor-level curse words in the 1 or 2 minutes that he's in the room. He looks at the standards guide that we were going over, and he says there's no effing way he's doing all this BS. And I'm thinking, amazing, amazing. This is amazing that this is the #1 four-season sunroom dealer. The guy leaves the room. I go back to talking to the owners, and I say, are you freaking kidding me? They said, "Well, you know, we just kind of deal with Joe because everybody loves Joe." I go, "What do you mean everyone loves Joe?" "Oh, well, our customers, you know, when they get to know him." And I'm thinking, I wouldn't let my wife anywhere near that guy. I wouldn't let my children anywhere near that guy. I think this guy is doing a lot more damage than you think this guy's doing. And yeah, some people probably laugh and think it's funny, and they probably curse like sailors too, but I'm guessing that a huge majority of your customers probably don't like Joe. And I'm not saying you've got Joe on your staff. I'm asking you to think about and consider what's going on in that department. Your logo, your slogan, your colors. You know, think about your slogan. Think about your colors. Give you an interesting little story. One of our clients is a large air conditioning company in the Philadelphia, into New Jersey, into Delaware, in that neck of the woods. And they're a very large company. They've got somewhere in the neighborhood of about 200 trucks, and all of their trucks are painted bright orange. And it's a fantastic marketing thing. Everybody, after a while, starts to recognize these orange trucks. And I had an interesting experience last year. I was there with them working on cutting some television commercials, and I was with the owner of the company, and we were driving from his office over to the location of the television shoot. We stopped at a convenience store to get some drinks, and I remember sitting as we were driving to the convenience store, and as he ran in to get some drinks, and I sat in the car and waited, I was looking around, and I started to notice all these other air conditioning trucks, and all of them were just plain white trucks with maybe a magnet or something painted on it, you know, XYZ, whatever, air conditioning. And by the time we got to the location, we had passed, I counted 11 white air conditioning trucks. And I thought, look at all these idiots with their trucks that are not having any kind of branding impact whatsoever. And a guy might look at me and say, "Well, I'm a small company. I only have one truck." I don't really think that's a valid excuse. I think you've got to look at that and say, because I only have one truck, it's extraordinarily important that I get the maximum impact out of that truck that I possibly can. And yeah, it costs money to do these things, but you know, my feeling is that if your excuse is that we can't afford it because it costs too much money, my recommendation is to raise your prices and position yourself more as a quality guy. But see, if you're running around with a beat up white van that has, you know, stickers bought from Home Depot that letter the name, you know, Johnson Plumbing or whatever on the side of it, nobody's going to think you're anything but a piece of crap air conditioning company anyway. So it's a chicken and an egg, and it becomes a death spiral. And all I'm telling you is, if you're a small local company, I'd pay some attention to these kinds of things. I wouldn't just assume that you can open up the door, look like crap, and people are going to overlook that, especially not now. I mean, 10 or 15 years ago, that might have been more likely. But now, I mean, look what happens now. We've got so many more local companies that are actually not local at all. They're actually offshoots of larger companies, either franchise or derivatives of large companies. You know, we've got a new pizza place here in town in South Lake where I live. It's called Pie 5. And it's a pretty nifty little business concept. It's kind of like a Chipotle for pizza, where you go in and you order little miniature like pan pizzas. Pizza Hut's had them forever, but in this case, you go in and you sort of custom build. They've got like 10 or 15 different ones you can choose from that have preset ingredients, or you can just build your own from scratch. It's kind of like Subway, where you say, I'll take some of that and some of that, and then they put it in a little oven for a couple of minutes, and it cooks it super fast, and you get your personal pizza, and it's quite fascinating. And you know what? I went on their website. I looked them up. They've got, I don't know how many locations they have right now. It's not that big. It's something like 10. Okay, so it's pretty big. It's bigger than one, but it's not like this, you know, 3,000 location deal. But I'm telling you, you've got competitors coming into the marketplace now that when they open shop, even if they're relatively new, everything looks and feels and has that sort of polished appearance of a large multinational company, because that's what guys are going out there trying to build, and they're out competing these local yokels. And what I'm trying to tell you is, if you're a local yokel, you need to compete with these guys on equal footing in some areas, like the way that you look and feel. I'm not trying to get too bogged down on this one point, but I think it's super important. Next, product offerings, something unique that people can latch on to. Home of the blank. What do you want to be known as the home of? And we recommend for the donut shop, the home of the Texas Giant Donut. Create a big, fat, freaking huge donut that takes up an entire donut box and call it the Texas Giant. Why not? That donut shop serves the area that two different high schools live around that neighborhood. One of them is South Lake Carroll Dragons. The other one is the Grapevine Mustangs. Why not create a delightful dragon, green and black themed donut, because that's the high school colors, and why not another Mighty Mustang red and blue themed to match that high school colors? Why not? I don't know. Signage, of course, we won't get into detail on that, but that's important. So just surfing the web and looking for some ideas. I found one called Pink Ribbon Donuts, opened by a cancer survivor, and the idea is that they, you know, cater to this crowd, and that's a pretty important crowd, and I think it's a big enough crowd that it's going to have some impact. So that's an interesting concept. There's a company I found in St. Louis called Strange Donuts. Yeah, they're called Strange Donuts, and you can see here that these guys really got the idea. Look at this. They built an octopus donut. Now, imagine coming into work in the morning with a box of donuts, standard, or one of these things. Look at that thing. It's a freaking octopus. And you come in here and you grab one of the legs and you know, snap it off and pop it in your mouth. It's just kind of a cool deal. And if you go to their website, strangedonuts.com, it's really, I think, a Tumblr site or something. I'm not sure. But you'll see they have all kinds of crazy donuts. And I think that's really neat. It gives them some flair, okay? Donut shop, signature donuts like the Texas Giant, Delectable Dragon, Mighty Mustang, free donut holes. It was interesting when I went to that donut shop with my son, presumably the owner, I don't know if she was the owner, maybe the employee, but the lady that was working there gave me a free dozen donut holes with my order of 2 dozen donuts. She didn't say anything about it. She just gave it to me and said, here, this, here, this comes with your order. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. What an under-leveraged thing to do. If you're going to give me a free dozen donut holes, why not make a bigger deal about it? Why not point at it, a la confirmation bias in the shower head, if you're familiar with that concept? Why not make me sign up for some kind of a club that will earn me free donut holes every time I come in and purchase 2 dozen donuts or something like that, so that they can start to capture who I am? Okay, maybe a deli would create signature sandwiches like the Dagwood Plus or the Large Marge, or a signature beverage like Liquid Insanity, whatever. Toy store, free toys, free Legos, free signature stuffed mascot that's collectible. I don't know, something. Haircut store, the free 5-minute meltdown. Why not, when you're getting your haircut, why not give a 5-minute scalp massage? You can get a haircut anywhere, but where can you get a 5-minute scalp massage? And the answer is, I don't know, apparently at this place. So let's go to step 2. This is where we want to really concentrate. Once those things are set, the identity is set, the branding is set, then we want to start to look at the contact information of the customer, okay? So we want to capture from walk-in customers. We want to get their address, their email, their cell phone number, and we also want to get their social. We want them to like us on social media, particularly Facebook and or Twitter. I'm going to stop and make a little point here. Social media is awesome, and it's good, and it can be helpful. It's certainly good for your SEO. Depending on the kind of company you have, it could be more or less valuable in terms of lead generation and getting customers to come back. But I do want to encourage you to continue to gather other kinds of information besides just social media likes. The problem with social media likes, and the positives are many, and I don't want to make it sound like, oh, well, this is a terrible thing. How stupid of you to have, social media likes. I just want to point out what some of the problems are. Some of the problems are, number one, you don't have a lot of control over whether or not they actually see your content. They can like you, but then not see your stuff or have your stuff get buried or choose not to view it. And so you may not get as much visibility as you hope or like or want. Number two, if you have other types of contact information, it still suffers from not necessarily being able to get it to go, for people to see it, but at least you've got another chance. Cell numbers, if you can text them, mail them, email them, etc. I'm just encouraging you to go for multiple contact points. That's all. I am not discouraging you from social media at all. I think it's important, okay? Create a loyalty program that encourages people to give that kind of information. Like I said, it could be the free dozen donuts. Give them an incentive to sign up, something. Give people a loyalty program. Just about any local business can give a loyalty program. Okay, think about your business and think about how you could give some kind of a loyalty program. You say, well, I don't know if that's going to work for us. We're a home improvement company, and we have guys that hire us for relatively big jobs, and they're infrequent. Well, I don't know how that prevents you from having an incentive program. I mean, think about it. Just use your brains a little bit on that. Remember, you're building a long-term business here. Invest in your customer base. Once you capture the information, put it in a database and milk it for business later. Now, let me go back to what I was just mentioning earlier about the company maybe with a little bit bigger unit of sale. Even if it's not that likely or plausible that they're going to come back for more business, or if they do, it's going to be relatively infrequently. First of all, if they're coming back relatively infrequently, that probably means that they're coming back for a relatively large ongoing purchase. But also think more in terms of referrals, right? Making sure that you stay in front of that customer so that they can refer you to their friends later on. Okay, then we need to work the local area. This is what I call the 5x5x50 plan, and of course this is completely modifiable to your specific needs, but let's look at it. What if you brought free products, if that's applicable, or vouchers for free products, and you spend product in lieu of traditional marketing budget, okay? So instead of spending money on an ad in the newspaper, which is probably not going to work, why not spend money on your products that you put into people's hands? I mean, think about it. If you sell a dozen donuts for $6, what is your cost to create a donut? And the answer is probably, I don't know, let's just say it's $1. I don't know what the real number is, but if you sell a dozen donuts for $6 and it costs you $1 to make them, including the person's labor and all the materials and all that, do you realize that you are spending $1/6? Let's see what 1/6 of a dollar is. 1 divided by 6 is 17 cents. It's like buying dollars for 17 cents. Who on earth wouldn't want to buy $1 for 17 cents? I would. If I could buy $1 for 17 cents, I would do it all day long. So why not take these donuts and give them to people that'll have a much bigger impact than that dollar spent in the newspaper, and go out and give it to people, okay? If you handed out 5 companies a day, 5 days a week for 50 weeks, and what I'm talking about for the donut shop here would be, let's say, 2 dozen donuts. So that's going to cost them $2 for the donuts. They're going to give it to 5 companies, so that's $10 a day, 5 days a week, so that's $50 a week plus the time and money to deliver. That's obviously got to be taken into account. But that's a $50 a week operation. Let's say that it costs another $200 in fuel cost and in personnel cost to deliver those. So you've got $250 a week. But you know what? The van cost is sunk because you already bought it. The employee cost, the employee is going to be doing something. It's a good way to spend money, okay? 5 companies a day, 5 days a week for 50 weeks. That lets you hit 625 companies 2 times each. Now, what I'm talking about specifically with the donut shop here is handing 2 dozen donuts to 625 different local businesses. So you go down the street to the local real estate agent. You walk in and say, here's 2 dozen donuts. And you walk into the local car dealership and say, here's 2 dozen donuts. And maybe you adjust it a little bit more for a larger car dealership and a little bit smaller for a smaller insurance agent, whatever. But just adapt this and identify all the companies in the area, because you know what? These are guys that can be buying donuts from you. Go to a radius, maybe a mile, 2 miles, and see how many companies you can find. You'll be shocked at how many businesses there are. There's a lot of small ones that are tucked in back there, and these are guys that can be buying donuts. Okay? Make sure you exchange goods and services for contact information. Don't just give them donuts and say, hey, hopefully you remember us and give us business later on. Say, I'd like to give you these 2 dozen donuts. All I request from you is that you let me, first of all, go on our Facebook page right now, like us. Okay, great. Number 2, I want your contact information and permission to send you emails and text messages. Is that okay? Okay, great. Now, hey, don't worry about it. When we send you emails and text messages, it's always going to be fun stuff and offers and good things. So it's not like we're going to just hammer you. So you get that reciprocity that starts to kick in. Okay? Why not? You say, well, I don't know. Could we do this for our company if we sell something that's not donuts? And the answer is you could if you would just sit down and think through it. Use the principle, not the technique, okay? Maybe you hand out a calendar. Donut time 2014. Right now, buy 2 dozen, get 1 free, valid any time. Okay? Work the local area. Lock in long-term sales. What about subscription plans? Could you sell donut subscriptions? Well, you couldn't if you never thought of it. That would be really hard to sell a subscription to donuts if you never thought of it. You know, I was reading this article in Inc. magazine the other day about getting venture capital. It's not a topic I'm particularly interested in, but the article caught my eye for some reason, and I remember it had an interesting point, and it said that the venture capitalists use different formulas to figure out how much your company is worth. And it was talking about how the disparity of some companies that have established sales and established profits are valued for less money than companies that have less established sales and less profits. And how is that possible? And one of the things it said is that venture capitalists are looking for subscription-based model companies that sell stuff on a subscription. And it talked about how the software industry went from a one-shot seller of software to a subscription plan. And several other companies have done the same thing. And I'm asking you to look at your business and see if you could create a subscription plan for your services. And I think that realistically, I mean, you know, you just got to look at this kind of thing. If you're an $80 million air conditioning company with 8,000 transactions a month, you know, you may or may not want to upset your Apple Cart. If you're a brand new donut shop, what the heck is it going to hurt? You know, you can sell almost anything on a subscription. You could sell home improvement on a subscription. Well, what do you mean home improvement on a subscription? Well, you go in and you say, look, it's going to cost you $99 a month. And every time you spend $99 a month with us, we're going to give you $129 worth of credit with us. And it's going to build up over time. And then you're going to always have us on standby to come in and do stuff for you. Now, you can either let it build up more like a layaway plan, or if you need more than you've already paid for, then it becomes like a credit card, and we'll get the money from you on the back end. Whatever. Work out the details. It's kind of like the Netflix model of subscription. And I'm telling you, this is a great way to look at your business. How can you get ongoing, recurring payments coming into you? It's a beautiful thing, okay? Target specific kinds of businesses. By singling them out, you'll get their attention. You need to remember that all businesses are staffed by human people, okay? Remember that all people like a good deal, free stuff, and food. Now, there's more things that people like, but those are a good start, okay? So here's a letter or an email that we might send over to all the CPAs in the area. Dear David, I'm writing this letter because you're CPA. My name is Bob Jones, owner of Texas Best Donuts and Grapevine. Every day for the rest of this month, I'm going to give a dozen donuts to any CPA who brings this letter into my shop. My reason for being nice to CPAs is actually pretty weird. Ask me when you come in. Make sure you bring this letter with you. I hope to see you soon. Sincerely, Bob Jones, owner. Now, this guy gets this. He's a CPA. He sees it, and he goes, well, what's this all about? And we've got his attention. How many times do you think the CPA gets a letter that says, hey, because you're a CPA, I'm going to give you something? Answer, probably never. And when the answer is probably never, that's usually a pretty good thing, okay? You could send this to anybody. You could send it to any kind of group. You could send it to any type of person. You could send it to everybody named Roger in the area. Dear Roger, because your name is Roger, I'm going to give you this special $1,000 off home improvement gift card. The reason that I'm willing to do this for people named Roger is actually kind of weird. Why don't you ask me when you call or when I come over? And then the reason can be anything, right? Your daughter recently married a guy named Roger, and you thought he was a really neat guy, so you thought, hey, I'll give everybody named Roger a special deal. If you have a mustache, I've gone through this before on a different call on the Guerrilla Marketing webinar. We talked about special offers for everybody that owns the Rush 2112 album, and everybody that has a mustache, and everybody that's over 350 pounds, or all men under 5'5", and, whatever crazy thing you can think of to just single people out and say, hey, pay attention, and then give them a special offer, okay? Maybe you're under 5'5", and you say, hey, I want to give everybody who's 5'5" and under a special, donut, because I'm 5'5", and I know how a lot of people kind of look down, no pun intended, on short people, and hey, this is my way of revenge. Everybody that's tall can screw up. They don't get free donuts, but all us short guys, we get them. Anything, whatever it happens to be, okay? Think of anything. It could be anything, but you just got to think of it. See, you'll never think of it if you don't ever sit down and think of it, okay? So think about stuff. Joint ventures, all right. Leverage other companies' customer lists to get new customers for your business. Look for companies who have similar demographic customers that could be contacted. Now, demographic customers don't have to have anything in common with your type of product or service, okay? It's just got to be a company that has a customer list of people that are pretty similar to your customers, okay? There's a joint venture getter letter to initiate contact. That's on our marketing toolkit. If you want to tune into our, if you want to log into our portal, you can go see that. Then you just got to follow up. Now, these are not easy to make happen, but they can be very profitable and very interesting. Really, all we're trying to do is get some kind of traction with somebody else's customer base. So if you're a donut shop, you say, okay, well, who else has a customer base that's similar to the donut shop? Well, geez, pretty much everybody eats donuts, so that's not that hard to do. So just start looking around and thinking about it. And I'm not going to go into a tremendous amount of detail on joint ventures because that topic is covered elsewhere, and you can find those webinars on our website. So I'm going to just pass that one by for just a minute, okay? You can also do consignments where you take your donuts and put them in gas stations, C-stores, delis. Krispy Kreme does this already, right? You can find their donuts all over the place. Why not you? Here's a letter. Dear joint venture partner, and of course you would probably want to customize that. Looking for extremely inexpensive way to build customer loyalty and keep them coming back. I'd like to offer you just that with our free donuts for customers program. It's very inexpensive, extremely easy to execute, and best of all, it makes your customers love you even more. My name is Sam Moon. I'm the owner of Texas Best Donuts in Grapevine on Highway 26. Maybe you've seen our van parked out in front of our store. We're right off Kimball Avenue. We've innovated a fantastic new program that allows you to offer free fresh donuts to your customers 1 day per week. And it's so easy and affordable, you'll be excited to get involved. Here's how it works. Easy, easy, easy. You choose which day of the week you want to offer free donuts to your customers. Any day of the week is fine. Just let us know. We'll deliver a predetermined quantity of donuts to your location at the time you specify. Most participants are ordering 6 to 10 dozen donuts to be delivered between 7 and 9 a.m., but it's completely up to you. Our normal pricing for donuts is $5 per dozen. As long as you are willing to display our small 5x7 sign and 3x5 take one cards, samples provided below, we will sell you our donuts for only $2.20 per dozen, our cost to make and deliver them. We also have the ability to create signage and advertisements for your company that promote your free donut giveaways. There's no charge for this service. You win by offering a tasty treat to your customers for free. We win because more customers find out about our store by seeing the sign you display. See how that works? We're just trying to get our donuts distributed through this company. I want to give you 40 dozen free donuts to get the ball rolling. Hey, I know talk is cheap, so let me put my money where my mouth is. Let me give you 10 dozen free donuts a week for 4 consecutive weeks, plus the signs and advertisements to promote your free donut promotion. If you don't like the promotion, if you don't feel like the promotion is creating positive buzz for your business, then you're under no obligation to continue. If you do want to continue, we'll determine the proper weekly quantity and go from there. Call me at this phone number to discuss. We're looking forward to working with you. Hey, quick heads up, I'll be sending 2 dozen free donuts per week to your store until I hear from you. Hope you enjoy them and let me know what you think of our Texas Giant. I want you to look at this letter. I want you to read this letter. I want you to think about this letter, and I want you to marvel at this letter. Now, I'm telling you, this is not easy to do, but it's also not hard to do. The part that's hard to do is just to take the time to freaking do it, because it's so different and so unusual. But look what we're going to do. We're telling them we're going to give them these donuts. Now, if the cost is $2.20 per dozen to make them and deliver them, which is probably true with the delivery and all that, and you give them 10 dozen free donuts, you're talking about $22, $2.20 per dozen. You're going to give them 10. $22 times 4 weeks, it's $88 it's going to cost you to try this out. Now, you can also adjust your numbers. Maybe your donuts are $6 a dozen at retail, and your cost to make and deliver them is $2 a dozen, and you sell them for $3 a dozen on this promo, half price, or for $4 a dozen. Some price that's favorable so they feel like they're getting a deal, but you can still make a little bit of money. So you're actually making a wholesale amount of money on giving them to them, but you're also getting them distributed to their customers. I mean, this is stuff that just needs to be played with and tweaked and fine-tuned, find out things that work, find out things that don't work that you had anticipated, and just roll it out as fast as makes sense. You don't have to roll this kind of stuff out super, super fast, but you do have to think and be pretty flexible in terms of thinking. Okay, step 5, working the database. Now, this is where the rubber kind of hits the proverbial road, right? Hit the database with mail, email, text, social media messages on an ongoing basis, okay? Give them donut brain or deli brain or whatever you do brain so that they're just continually keeping you front of mind. Keep them involved and keep them entertained. Name game, riddles, I Spy, peripheral free, celebrity gossip, sports IQ, stuff like that. Now, here's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about through social media and or email and or text messages, sending them things that are a little bit fun. I want you to think about the value of fun in business. Now, I've done a whole segment, and there's a whole innovation strategy called Fun Guy. We talk about being fun. And I want you to realize that almost nobody is fun in business. Almost nobody is fun. And if you become the guy that's fun, you automatically stand out. Now, all I'm talking about is this. So let's look at some of these. Name game. So you send out text messages or social media posts that says everybody whose name starts with the letter S must be proven on your driver's license will get a free dozen donut holes today. Just stop by anytime, between 3, whatever, 10 and 12, whatever. You set up the rules. Riddles, send out a riddle. You say, well, how do I find a riddle? I don't know. Do you have Google? Go find some riddles. Send over the riddle. Help people waste time at work because they're going to waste time at work anyway. Might as well help them do it. And you might as well have them thinking about you while they're wasting their time. I Spy. Create some kind of a game where they've got to find something, a treasure hunt of some sort. Peripheral free. Give them something free if they buy the main thing. If you buy the 2 dozen donuts, then I give you the Texas Giant or a dozen free donut holes. Celebrity gossip, sports IQ. Now, these are things that are geared towards women and men, respectively. And I'm not trying to be stereotypical, gender specific. I'm just saying that women tend to like celebrity gossip. I'm not saying men don't. I mean, it's mildly amusing to me. And I'm not saying that women aren't interested in sports. And certainly there's definitely women that are interested in sports. I'm just saying find some things that people are widely interested in and make these part of your database. Now, this is not going to be the right course of action for every single kind of business. This is a good course of action for a business like a donut shop where there's only a limited amount of donut things to talk about, okay? There's a limited amount of donut things to talk about. So what we end up doing is talking about things that are just interesting and curious and fun. Maybe you go scour YouTube and you have a fun video of the day that you post or whatever, okay? Plan it out in advance. Take time to look for stuff. You just got to plan and do this kind of stuff, okay? Make offers, keep them coming back, let them know you care about getting their business, okay? So I went online and I was looking as I was preparing for this webinar. All you need is love and donuts. Local bakery to honor the Fab Four with Beatlemania donuts. Amherst, Ohio. Strawberry Fields Forever, Abbey Rocky Road, Instant Karma, Yellow Submarine. These are just a few of the sweet donuts that Kierdowski's Simply Delicious Bakery in Amherst will be featuring the next month in honor of the 50th anniversary of the Beatles' arrival in America on February 7th. The frosted treats are the perfect sweetener to any hard day's night. Everyone who knows me knows I'm a huge Beatles fan, says the owner, Tim, whatever. I love the Beatles since I saw them on the Ed Sullivan Show. This is what I'm talking about precisely. Doing something that's a little bit interesting, a little bit different, a little fun, outside of the ordinary. People will pay attention. Who doesn't want to see what the Yellow Submarine or Abbey Rocky Road donut looks like? Come on, people. Here's a piece of news that you could send out about donuts. Colbert thrilled to learn that Mars has donuts, and there's this story that's circulating about things on Mars that look like jelly-shaped donuts. Talk about that. Send it out on social media. Whatever, right? Get people talking. Donut history being celebrated in Brooklyn Museum exhibit. The fattening favorites and traditional calorie-crammed donuts are now on display at City, whatever that is, a quirky community museum in Williamsburg. You say, well, how do you find these kinds of crazy articles? Well, it's not that hard. Create a Google alert. I didn't actually create this, just showing you how to do it. The search query is donuts. You see here I put minus Dunkin', because if you search just Dunkin', about 2/3 of the results come out as Dunkin' Donuts. So I wanted to get rid of the word Dunkin'. I want all types of results once a day. I want all the kinds of results, and I want them sent to my email address. And here's a sample of what kinds of donuts. Cancer survivor opens pink ribbon donuts at Avery and Margaret. We already saw that article, remember? You can put Google alerts to help you find things that are relevant that you could send out. If you're a remodeling company, set an alert that says celebrity remodeling. Whatever, I don't know. Think about it. Now, let's go to step 6, and then we'll end up here. We're not going to have time for our video. We'll have to watch that some other day. Step 6, something big. You need to do something that is newsworthy and or interesting, maybe even socially horrifying, something that people will take notice of. Can be ongoing or a one-time event. Now, here's what you can do. You can take your competitors on head on, or work with some kind of a charity, or create a world record, or some kind of a visual stunt. We're going to focus on the first one, which is taking on the competitors head on. Now, I have a friend named Troy Dunn, and Troy Dunn has something that he's well known for. He has appeared as a guest expert on television shows more times than anybody else. That's his world record. And the reason is because he is what is called a locator. He helps people who are looking for long-lost relatives, particularly in adoption situations, find their lost relatives. That's what he does. So he'll appear on the Oprah Winfrey Show, or he'll appear on Dateline NBC, or he'll appear on, Barbara Walters' special. He actually reunited Barbara Walters with, I think it was with her mother. I think Barbara Walters was adopted or something. Anyway, he actually performed his service for Barbara Walters. Well, I was talking to Troy one time. This is going back about 5 or 6 years now. And he said, any idea, any business needs to think in terms of television show. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, think about your business and think about how it could be made into a television show, because the exposure from the television show can be absolutely ginormous. Now, Troy took his own advice, and he created a show called The Locator, where he did episodes where he would find long-lost people, and that show ran on the Women's Entertainment Network, for, I don't know, about 3 or 4 seasons. And then it went off the air, and then more recently he's got a new one called, oh gosh, what's it called? Something with Troy Dunn. I forgot what it's called all of a sudden. He's got a new show, and it's an hour long instead of 30 minutes. He's got more time to do his thing. And, with the advent of reality TV about 15 years ago, there's lots of opportunity. And I actually have a sister who works for a video production company that actively creates TV shows that they then sell to various networks. And they are constantly begging people to bring ideas for shows to them. This is a company that does a show called Cool Pools and My Strange Addiction, and some kind of offbeat shows like that. But they're always looking for ideas for television shows. And I'm not saying, hey, whatever. I'm just saying, think about it. If the local donut shop created a line in the sand that says, we are going to take Krispy Kreme on and we are going to put them out of business, and they created a plan, like we've talked about, to go out and actually do it, do you think that would make for interesting television? Are you freaking kidding me? It would be so funny and awesome. I'm thinking about creating a television show to help people like this do this, but I don't know if I have time for that. So here's a letter that's put out. Help us take Krispy Kreme down. Dear customer, you are hereby enlisted to help us defeat Krispy Kreme once and for all. Our donuts are clearly superior in taste, size, customization, and value, and as a result, it infuriates us when we hear people talking about how great Krispy Kreme is. No, they are not that great. Just because they have that big conveyor belt thing and that frosting waterfall does not make their donuts better. So we have decided to take Krispy Kreme down, and we need your help. We need you to pledge allegiance to Texas Best Donuts. This will require you to sign a promise to only buy your donuts from Texas Best Donuts from now on, no exceptions. If you do this, you will be rewarded handsomely with the following benefits. You will be issued a Texas Best Donuts pledge card for your wallet, which includes the following benefits. 50 cents off every dozen donuts you buy ever from Texas Best Donuts. 2 dozen free donut holes with every purchase forever. 2 free hot chocolates or coffee coupons every month. Special free-for-all offers periodically throughout the month. You will be issued a Texas Best Donut I'm Taking Krispy Kreme Down t-shirt. You will be issued a Texas Best Donuts Krispy Kreme Socks bumper sticker. You will be issued a Texas Best Donuts Vote for Texas Best Donuts over Krispy Kreme yard sign. You will be issued a Texas Best Donut Eats Krispy Kreme's lunch mouse pad. All of these items are waiting for you at our store right now. All you have to do is stop in at your own convenience, sign the pledge, grab your stuff. We're looking forward to defeating Krispy Kreme together. You don't think this makes an interesting TV show? Now, even if it's not a TV show, it's an interesting strategy, okay? So here they are, free donut holes for life. First name, last name, city, state, email, you know. Help us defeat Krispy Kreme. We modify the calendar. We put Krispy Kreme as David. We are now Goliath. Texas Best Pledge. I promise to only buy donuts from Texas Best Donuts and help take Krispy Kreme down. Now, some people are going to look at this and say, well, that's crazy, but you know what's going to happen? You're going to get other people that are going to start to become evangelical for you. Now, all of this presupposes that you have a really good donut and you have a brand that supports, you know, something worth fighting for. And when you do this, you start pulling customers out of Krispy Kreme. I want you to think about how sinister yet beautiful and interesting this is. I'm taking Krispy Kreme down, Texas Best Donuts. Help us defeat Krispy Kreme. The little guy with the huge donut, home of the Texas Giant. I don't know, maybe they'd get sued for doing this, but it would be fun to find out. Ask yourself, are you working hard enough to build your database? What joint ventures could you put together? What kind of ongoing offers could you send to your database? What could you do that's big that people would notice? Okay, so just think about this. This is how you go about running a small business from a marketing standpoint. It doesn't necessarily cost a lot of money, but it's something by outsmarting and outthinking the competitors, you can outperform them, and who knows, maybe take them down. Okay, so that's what we're going to do for today, and I'll share a video with you on another day. We've got more time to share videos later, and maybe, hey, who knows? Well, we've got a Insiders Open Forum that starts at 15 minutes after the hour. That's about 20 minutes from right now, checking the clock. It's a little bit more than 15 minutes from right now. And as of an hour and a half ago, I haven't heard since then, we did not have any submissions. So if you show up for that call and we don't have any submissions, I'll show you the video. If we have some submissions, obviously we'll take those. But thanks for participating in today's webinar. Look forward to seeing you in about 20 or 25 minutes on our Insiders Open Forum. And we'll go from there. Thanks so much. Bye now.